Thank you, Vivek, for those insightful remarks on what WWF offices around the world and in Singapore are doing to tackle the climate crisis and biodiversity loss. Now, without any further ado, and I think Vivek already laid the foundation for that, I'm very happy to see a friend who I met in Croatia last year and convinced him to travel to Singapore for this important address. So let me welcome Manuel Pulgar-Vidal, President of COP20 and the Global Leader for Climate and Energy for WWF International. Manuel, over to you.
Thank you, Kamal. Thank you, Vivek. Thank you to you all. Together possible. You know that is the WWF motto, together possible. It is the phrase that it's framing our actions in a daily basis. And why I am starting with together possible? Because I do want to celebrate this summit. This summit, it is about how can we work all together, and how can we show that the solutions are there and to achieve our objectives are possible. That's the idea. Because, friends, we are in a difficult time. We are in a time in which we are facing geopolitical threats. We are in a time in which denialism is growing. We are in a time in which polarization, it is limiting our action. So what we do need, it is to create momentum. So create momentum to continue moving our action forward. I used to be president of COP20. That was a year before of the COP21 in Paris, in which we adopted the Paris Agreement. And I remember well all those elements that helped us to build that momentum to move things towards a strong decision and a strong agreement, the Paris Agreement. And to do that, what we do need it is to create confidence, but also to recreate and bring into this debate hope. Hope, it is something so important when it is about the planet, when it is about the Earth, and when it is about the challenges that we are facing. So I hope that this summit could be a strong foundation to rebuild that sense of hope. I hope that this summit could help to have more actors being well engaged into the process and support the process towards achieving key objectives. And why that is so important? Because we do need to recognize exactly where we are. And for sure, we are facing difficulties. We are facing strong difficulties when it is about climate, when it is about biodiversity or nature, and when it is about health. When we think about climate, it is clear that we have already raised temperature in more than 1.1. We are already 1.2 degrees Celsius. And we know that we have a threshold that it is 1.5. And we know how much people is suffering because 1.2. And we do need to recognize that that threshold, it must be respected. We know that we are in a decisive decade. And in this decisive decade, we have to raise ambition to reduce emissions by the end of this decade, by 2030. So we are not yet on track. We have already progressed, but we are not yet on track. And we do have the COP30 in Belém this year, in which it must demonstrate that we are all together towards achieving our objective. But when it is about biodiversity, also, we have to sort a lot of difficulties and problems and challenges. Vivek has just referred to the Living Planet report. The average loss of population on biodiversity between 1970 and 2020, so in 50 years, it has been 73%. 73% in 50 years. And if we are not able to bend that curve, we will have problems, because biodiversity supports our life. And that Living Planet report, it is saying us that we are entering into tipping points, 3 main tipping points. The tipping point of the Amazon, the tipping point of the coral reef, and the tipping point of the Arctic. And the only way to deal with the problem, it is by system change. And that is why the Living Planet report is suggesting system change or system transformation in the energy sector, in the financial sector, and even in conservation, plus in food systems and agriculture. So that is why the importance of this summit. It is to think in system change, in working together toward promoting that change. And if we think in risk, look this risk outlook from the World Economic Forum. In the four in the top for long-term risks are related to the environment: climate, biodiversity loss, earth systems, and natural resources shortage. So we do need to address this kind of problem. It is possible, sure it is possible, but we do need to think systematically. And let me start by saying, what are the levers for the system change? The first one, it is that we have, fortunately, already agreed a collective vision. That is not easy. To have 200 countries of the world defining a collective objective, it is one of the most difficult things ever. But fortunately, we have already agreed in good things. The threshold of the 1.5, the net zero as an objective, the resilience as an objective as part of our adaptation action, but also we have progress in relation to biodiversity. And now we can talk about nature positive. It is as simple to say that that is enough. It is not enough. We have to defend that vision, but also we have to give some more content to that vision. We have to solve what exactly does it mean net zero in relation to emission reduction and removals. We have to give more content to the nature positive concept. We will need to continue working in creating confidence and recover credibility in that objective. But we have to defend it. Many people are saying 1.5 is not possible because we will have overshoots. We knew that since the beginning. But should we give up because of that reality, or should we insist in keeping the 1.5 as a threshold? Let's do the second. Let's continue working despite of overshoot in trying to reduce that temperature by the end of the century to 1.5, because that is the limit, and that is the only way in which we will have a planet that can adapt to the reality. But it is not about the collective vision. Also, it is about of some other elements. The role of science. Fortunately, we have science as a big ally. In this summit, we have to listen well what science it is telling us. What does it mean to continue raising temperature and go over the 1.5? What are that models when it is referred to the potential tipping point to the planet? What it could be the consequences? But science, it is not just modeling the future. Also, it is suggesting the transitions, and we have to accelerate those transitions. The energy one, by deploying more renewable energies, by phasing out fossil fuels in a gradual way, by promoting more energy efficiency, the industry one, by promoting more circular economy, the cities and infrastructure by promoting more sustainable cities, and the land use and deforestation. That is something that it is so related to countries in the tropical areas of the world. I am Peruvian, and for countries as in Peru, 63% of our emissions are related to deforestation and land use and agriculture. So we have to deal with those kind of problems by using strong mechanisms as nature-based solutions. But also we do need to define better transition for biodiversity. Look, friends, we have already progressed on climate by knowing well what are those transitions. But we do need to work in the same for biodiversity to be and to make more effective our actions. But also it is about the economy. In the current geopolitical times in which the process it is well threatened, we do need to demonstrate that the economy has gotten enough maturity to continue moving this process forward. How mature is the economy to have the business sector continue adopting and implementing actions toward achieving their own targets? I am strongly optimistic that the economy will show its maturity this year. And by the end of the COP30, we will celebrate that the process, it is feasible, that it is achievable, and that we will continue working in achieving those objectives.
So we have to send good signals to the economy. And this summit, because you are mostly from the business sector, it is a good segue to give those strong signals. But also Vivek referred to the multilateral process, and I will take one more minute because I am running out of time. And many people is criticizing the multilateral process. It is true. It is true that probably COPs are not showing the progress that we had expected would be by this time. It is true that some people is saying that why so many people in a COP? No? Why so many different fronts to negotiate? But there are no alternatives to the multilateral process. The only way to have countries taking decisions, it is because of a multilateral process. So what we do need is to strengthen that process. We do need to continue promoting public participation in that process. The climate debate, it is probably the most democratic multilateral process of the world. Here it is Joseph Tio. He was so instrumental during COP20 and COP21, very good friend. And also the current Vivian, the Foreign Affairs Minister of Singapore. He used to be so supportive to the idea of having an action agenda and to make the COPs a democratic process. We have to defend that level of participation in that process. Let me finish by saying a couple of things. Also, we have an opportunity by connecting climate and nature and by adopting a synergetic approach. We can be more effective and more efficient if we bring synergetic approach. It will be more simple for a country if they can develop their NDC, what it is, its climate plan, with the MBSAPs, that it is the biodiversity one. So synergies, it is one of those key opportunities that we can use to continue leveraging more concrete actions as a way to achieve objectives. Let me finish by saying, you can always count with WWF. Many people believe that WWF, because we have a panda as a logo, it is just an institution for biodiversity, habitat, or species. No, we are an institution for system change. We are an institution that it is always thinking on how to transform the world, on how to transform our behavior towards achieving planetary objectives that can benefit everybody at the same time. So you can always count with WWF. So congratulations for this summit, and let's work together towards a better planet. Thank you very much.
Thank you so